approved Five Nights at Freddy's 2 video. I'm here to answer any questions the game may have left unanswered. The game's developer, he's a pretty tricky guy.
Scott, seriously? Seriously, Scott? Oh look, here's a wall. Let me just dial in my phone number. Beep boop boop beep boop boop. What? When did we jump from a point-and-click horror game to magical fantasy? This thing is like platform 9 3/4. I expect Harry effing Potter to apparate into Pirate's Cove or something. Jeez, here I was thinking that you'd plug your numbers into, the one other place that you see numbers in this game, the bonus jump scare menu, or something, anything. But nope, dialing it into a wall makes so much more sense.
What? Oh, no! 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 No!
Oh my gosh, what happened? What's wrong?
Look!
Oh no.
Sorry, Scott Cawthon. I'm tired of waiting for you. This time you'll have to keep up with me. Oh, never mind. Welcome to Game Theory, where instead of waiting for FNAF 4 to be released, this time we're getting out ahead of the game. Or at least that was the plan. Scott, I swear you are the biggest internet troll out there. Oh, it's being released October 31st. Okay, let me plan my entire schedule around that. Never mind, it's now in August. Okay, fine, let me rework everything. Lols, here's the full version now. You, Scott Cawthon, are the reason I have an emotional dependence on Diet Coke. Good job, Scott. You finally put together a game with a coherent plotline. Except you didn't. Scott was sure to let me know my error in his first comment on any of my videos on the franchise to my knowledge, which was really exciting, but it did leave me wondering, should I feel honored or trolled? Scott Cawthon has done an amazing and infuriating job of creating a story that looks like it goes one way, but also looks like it might go somewhere else. This keeps us thinking about FNAF lore, talking about FNAF lore, pestering our favorite YouTube theorists for more FNAF lore for weeks, months, watching every video released on everything from top 10 details you missed in the FNAF 4 teaser to top 10 facts about the cupcake. The cupcake! 10 facts about the cupcake. Scott has done such a good job of keeping the game in flux that the pieces never quite feel like they fit in a way that feels satisfying. We never get that moment of ROLAIDS. That spells relief. Good on Scott for making sure FNAF is always on our mind. So GG, Scott. GG. Why would Tiny Toy Chica be missing her beak? What? Scott, please. For once, I'm gonna get the jump on you, Scott Cawthon, and here's how I'm gonna do it. We all know that Scott loves dropping little teaser hints on his site, but this time, he's tipped his hand a bit too far. Enough for me to get a solid theory going on a lot of key elements we'll see hidden throughout his newest installment, Sister Location. Still available to consult on the FNAF movie's storyline. Seriously, Scott, I'll be waiting by the phone because I can practically guarantee I've put more collective hours of thought into counting animatronic toes, tracking eye colors, listing out the differences between pizzerias, diners, and rental services, parsing out your phone guy calls, and counting and recounting again the number of dead child carcasses left in your story's wake than literally anyone else out there. I mean, I've even gone so far as to do the unthinkable for these Sister Location videos. That's right, I reread The Silver Eye. And you know the conclusion that I've reached? That your version of events isn't satisfying. But then you couldn't help yourself, Scott. You just had to throw in those FNAF 4 Easter eggs, huh? So go ahead, keep your plots vague and convoluted, Scotty boy. I'm here to translate your madness to the world. Now personally, based on the silhouette in the mirror, my first guess is to say that we're playing as Rick Astley, and Scott is just committing the most elaborate Rick roll in history. I mean, just look at that hair. It's an exact match, and let's face it, Scott has proven that he's not above trolling us. By the way, low blow, Scott, forcing people to read in order to have any sort of clue as to what's going on in the franchise now. Because seriously, without reading the book, you would have no clue the importance of William Afton. Oh well, that's what I'm here for. I read it so you don't have to. Earlier in that same chapter, Scott makes sure to drop a few more hints that seemingly never go anywhere. But we all know Scott better than that, right? 97,000 votes for Sister Location and 30,000 against. So it looks like y'all felt that Scott got his groove back with this one. Nope. Nuh-uh, not touching it. No, sirree, Bob. No way. You can mechanically wheeze all you want, Michael Eggs Benedict, Afton, Purple Guy, Jingleheimer, Schmidt, but I am not spending another 20 minutes trying to piece together whether you're Springtrap, whether you're Purple Guy, whether you're a second Purple Guy, and whether all of this requires yet another rewrite of the timeline. I am not doing it, at least not until the next book comes out in June. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. FNAF 6 is canceled. Looks like I had more staying power than you, Scotty C. Let's be honest, though, it's gonna be more delayed than canceled, really. And there's still the movie, the merch, a second book just released, a third book coming soon, and a fourth one on the way. So just like the animatronics, the series itself keeps getting reborn in new forms with increasingly absurd names. Withered Freddy, Nightmare Chica, Not So Fun Time Franchise. Putting to rest the key lingering questions in the first 5 entries of this franchise and opening the door for Scott to usher in FNAF 6. Since at this point we all know he's just waiting for us to solve the previous games before he releases the new one, right? Come to think of it, maybe I shouldn't finish this theory. It starts back in the 70s. Should have given him a big purple afro there, Scott.
In Sister Location, Scott very clearly showed us that Afton's daughter doesn't wear her hair in pigtails and has a different color of hair than the pigtail girl in FNAF 4. And we all know how picky Scott is about colors, at least at this point in the series. He learned his lesson after the whole pink guy thing.
I have no doubt that this isn't 100% correct, but you know what? It's an explanation I'm happy with. One that I feel provides a sense of closure to the series, and one that I'm gonna let stand as my final word on the 5 games worth of series lore until a new installment. Crap, a new installment that just so happened to get teased immediately after last week's part 1? Scott, don't go getting predictable on me.
For most of you, I believe there is peace, and perhaps more, waiting for you after the smoke clears. Although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole. So don't keep the devil waiting, friend.
Jeez, Scott. I know we didn't get along all the time, but condemning me to hell seems a bit extreme. Now, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if you all thought that Scott and I were the same person. Come to think of it, you have never seen us in the same room together at the same time. Baby, meanwhile, becomes Scrap Baby, complete with a lobster claw and roller skates because Scott was like, wee, it's my final game, I can make the designs whatever the hell I want to. Springtrap now has a cleft chin, and heck, why not? There's a weird black bear named Lefty, because why the heck not throw a 13th bear onto the pile? Out pops the driver, and he's orange? Thanks, Scott. We finally solved the identity of Purple Guy, and you just had to throw in one final monochromatic mystery man. Orange Guy? I like to call him Mustard Man. But why? Why would Scott choose to make William Afton some color other than purple for like the first time ever in the final game in the series? The answer is actually kind of mundane, because by this point in the series, there are 2 different Purple Guys, William and his son. It would have been confusing from a storytelling standpoint, though I do gotta say, Scott, it's not that much better since now you're swapping in a whole new color for a character who's been represented by another color the whole time. Now, most of you are probably confused about that opening reference, which means that you haven't implanted Scott Cawthon with an RFID tracker that follows his every movement. Fortunately, I have. Based on Scott's playtesting, where right now he's averaging a survival time of 15 seconds, it looks like I may have an opening here. One name obscured and one in the back, with, again, the name hidden from view. Trust me, I tried my best to pull a CSI on that one. Enhance. Enhance again. Enhance a 3rd time. Damn it, Scott! After months of thinking about this and more kicks to the crotch than I care to mention, Dear Diary, yesterday was so amazing. I met such a wonderful guy, and I know just how to get him. He'll be mine by the end of the day. I just know it. I'll tell him that I've solved the lore of his games and constructed a timeline. And once he's there, I'll have him. And once I have him, he'll be mine forever. There's only one thing that could possibly go wrong. How can Mangle be walking around in FNAF 2 before all the animatronics are possessed? How can Springtrap be experimenting with Remnant when he's sealed in a wall? Answer me! I don't know. That's exactly what I worried might go wrong. No!
Sometimes a story is just a story. You try to read into every little thing and find meaning in everything anyone says, you'll just drive yourself crazy.
Kinda harsh there, Scott. From a theory standpoint, at least, these videos have circled back around to where it all began. It's poetic. A beautiful, horrific, child-murdery bookend of a story. So thanks, Scott. I have no doubt that you structured your franchise's final send-off that way just so I could have an I told you so moment at the very end after years of getting thwarted by your twisting story. It's very nice of you to throw me a bone. Might as well call me Mangle. More on that next week. But of course, it wouldn't be FNAF if things were just that simple. That's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for proving me right for a change, Scott. Game releases directly mirror the gameplay. Either Scott is a mad genius or I'm thinking about things way too hard.
You try to read into every little thing and find meaning in everything anyone says, you'll just drive yourself crazy.
I heard you last time, Mr. Hippo. The series will probably come back to tell another story in the same universe later. I mean, it's exactly what Scott did with FNAF 4, the quote-unquote final chapter, of the original FNAF story. I see what you did there, Scotty. It's the final chapter of the original story. But oh no, friends, he wasn't done. He even ended that teaser with a question mark if you brighten that screen up enough. Man, Scott, you really wanted to leave the door open for more games in the series, didn't ya? You were milking it more than I was. Or, I guess we're both milkmaids at the teat of Freddy Fazcow. And the name Juniors makes sense in Scott's classic way of giving us clues that are meant to clarify things, but really just end up confusing all of us.
I told him that someone ran over his dog in front of my house.
Jeez, Scott, I know we were all looking for answers, but man, you beat that one over the head, didn't ya? Not that I'm complaining, but that one was a bit overly obvious, and then all the other ones are just so damn obscure. Just gotta find a better balance here, man. If this truly is the end, thanks, Scott, for an incredible ride and providing a game that has forever changed my life and this channel. No. No. No, God, no! No! No, God, no, no! No! Someone got together their little summoning circle of Funko plushies and recycled Chuck E. Cheese pizza and awakened the sleeping behemoth that is Scott Cawthon, and now here we are with a new trailer for FNAF 7 and me in children's pajamas. So thank you, Internet. It was time for the series to finally rest in peace. But then, back in November, Scott hopped onto Steam to give all us Fredheads an update, and suddenly, the movie was the least certain thing of the group. A VR game? An AR game? More books? A third new game called Into Madness? Clearly, Scott intended me to be the protagonist of that one, since that's exactly where I'm headed to with so much new FNAF headed our way.
While it's true that some stories associated with our name were loosely based on actual events, the majority of them were total fabrications from the mind of a complete lunatic. Lawsuits pending.
And yes, that picture is really Scott Cawthon canonically inserting himself into this game. That is a discussion for another episode, my friends, because it throws all sorts of weird monkey wrenches into the lore. A new generation of Faz fans fall in love with all these new characters and add to Scott Cawthon's growing pile of money.
Don't forget the merch, perfect for birthdays.
Speaking of merch, Fazbear Entertainment ain't the only ones shilling for their supper. Game Theory merch is also perfect for birthdays. Heck, probably even more perfect for birthdays, Scott. Beloved daughter, Charlotte Emily, 1980 to 1983. First off, her last name is Emily? I mean, there's no other name written here, so that isn't her middle name. So Henry's last name is Emily? We're talking about the Emily family household? It's just weird. I mean, this is a book series filled with animatronics that are possessed by human children and metallic soul glue, but Emily as your last name? That has to be the single largest stretch of imagination out there. And no offense to anyone with Emily as their actual last name. I know it's a real thing. I'm just over-exaggerating my rage for comedic effect. Well, it's either his tormented screams or, you know, Scott Cawthon shouting through a fan in FNAF World, which sure helped us to predict the appearance of Baby and Henry into the mainline games, but it was also the game where Scott Cawthon literally appears as the final boss, complaining about how sick he was of pumping out new games for our insatiable appetite for animatronic death. Scott, you're our mama bird, my friend. Puke that sweet, sweet lore down into my gullet. Oh, yeah. first one released after Christmas, and before the end of this year, there'll be a total of, let me check my notes. Holy mother of Ennard, 5? 5 installments in a new book series in a year? Ugh, looks like Scott's gone back to his roots of just mass releasing stuff. It's like he saw the Netflix model of binge watching a show and was like, I want that, but for video games, and apparently books. Jeez, if only mass dropped lore reveals for us to binge understand, we'd all be happier for it. And yes, that sweet, sweet piece of man candy that you see there is Scott Cawthon himself. Okay, fine, haha, funny joke there, Scott. I mean, this series likes to get self-aware. We're all familiar with that. And for a mainline title in the series, this one felt pretty extreme, but fine, cool with it. Do these have lore significance? Well, you probably already know the answer, end quote. Oh, I know the answer, Scott. And that answer is yes. You breathe and it becomes canon. Game series.
Book series.
Help wanted.
New book series.
Oh, come on. Fine. Phone guy.
Phone dude.
Purple guy.
Orange dude.
Didn't you just... fine. Wild card. Change the category. Timeline.
Bite of 87.
Chomp of 83.
Party of 85.
Wait, but...
Time traveling ball pit.
You can't just...
Reverse.
Oh yeah? Reverse.
Reverse.
Reverse. Reverse. Reverse. Reverse. Reverse. A new plush trap toy, the Plush Trap Chaser, a light-activated chomping green rabbit, is all the rage, selling out at stores across the nation. It also retails for $79.99, so Scott be making those fat stacks both IRL and in the book world for his killer merch. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Who you gonna call? Psychic friend Fred Bear. He's a flower, for reasons still unknown, and he stalks you. On your way back home, he makes a promise that throws off all the lore. Seriously, Scott, what is this line for? And is it supposed to be in a slightly different yellow font here? Are you meaning this to be figurative or literal? Because if it's literal, you are opening up a literal can of worms. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. The Tale of the Stitch Wraith, a story that appears to be spanning out across the ending of each and every book in this new series. And that alone would be pretty darn cool, right? Also, it's a brilliant marketing tactic to keep us buying more just to see the end of this thing. Slow clap, Scott Cawthon. Slow clap. And with that, I've had enough FNAF for now. Oh man, it has been a lot. The new book comes out in early July, so at the very least, I get a break for a couple of weeks. Thank goodness. No. The show that is, without exaggeration, thinking of reaching out to Scott Cawthon so that we can jointly buy Chuck E. Cheese's quickly dying restaurant franchise so we can transform them into what they were always meant to be, real-world FNAF experiences. Heck, they've already got the terrible pizza taken care of. We could probably even sell the idea to YouTube Originals and make a whole series about transforming the pizzerias into horror-themed dining experiences, which would also help mitigate the costs of doing all that. No joking here, Scott. This is something we absolutely can and probably should do. I've recreated your games before in real life, and they seem to be pretty well received. So between my theater background and your, well, you know, your gobs of money and masterminding of the IP, I think we can make something that's really cool. Another character identity locked. This detail has been sitting in the logbook for years, just waiting to be used. Kind of impressive. Well done there, Scott. Well done. Don't get me wrong, love this game. Probably my favorite game of the franchise, but still, Scott, you ain't getting me to buy this for a third time. He totally got me to buy it a third time. Book number 5 has In the Flesh where, fine, I'll talk about this one. A male game designer, after a series of events, literally gives birth to a physical form of glitch trap by slicing him out of his own impregnated stomach. And of course, the game designer is named Matt. The guy is also a supreme jerk to everyone else throughout the story, so thanks a lot, Scott. Very subtle. Didn't know you felt that level of hostility toward me. Who knows, maybe we truly do exist in the darkest timeline and Scott Cawthon gave the green light to a story that allows Afton to be a creation of his own future self.
They're gonna kill me. They're gonna kill me. When they find out that I have to delay the game again, what am I gonna do?
You can tell that Scott's feeling a little guilty these days, huh? Also, apparently he sleeps in a fairy tale bed. Learned a lot about you with this one, Scott. All right! New Five Nights at Freddy's book drop. Let's see what's new to talk about in the world of FNAF. Readers beware, you're in for a scare when Fazbear Entertainment unveils their most twisted creation yet, sea bonnies, small blue fish with rabbit ears. When Mott drinks a tainted glass of water, tremble as they multiply inside his stomach and steal his identity. One cloned human made up of thousands of little blue bunny fish. Nope. She closes out her blog by saying, quote, "I will probably never know for certain how this mysterious building is connected to the FNAF universe. The only thing I am certain of is if the creator wanted us to know, I think he would tell us." Wow. Just wow. Feeling a bit attacked, not gonna lie. Though, in my defense, if we waited for Scott to tell us anything, we'd know next to nothing about this franchise's lore. Just saying.
It's only now, all these years later, that the sentiment has finally changed on that theory, and people largely agree that Dream Theory was right at the time, and that Scott just pivoted the story later with Sister Location. Or at least it was right until then this new Tales of the Pizzaplex book is coming out, and apparently it rewrites FNAF 4 into some hallucinogenic gas creation. Thanks for that one, Scott. Couldn't even let me have that victory, could ya? What do you want from me, Scott? I'm selling the books for ya.
Can it be frustrating? Absolutely. Heck, maybe now that I'm retiring from the channel, I can track Scott down and get some answers out of him.
My character's official name, right here. It's Ness. I don't know if you'd noticed this one in the movie, but it's Ness. And I was told by everyone that Scott specifically called out that he needed me to be named Ness. At first, I immediately thought like, oh, this gotta be a reference to Ness from FNAF AR. Or maybe this is another instance of Vanessa from Security Breach. You know, just Scott trolling people by using the same name over and over again. But no, when I met him later in the day, he told me it was a reference to Sans' Ness. He was very proud of himself. But yeah, I got to meet him. It was great. He has a good, strong handshake, and he looks you in the eye when you talk, which is always the sign of an upstanding person. He was wearing a classic Zelda t-shirt, which big props to that one. And he was doing a great job, honestly, of directing everyone. He made sure that I knew about the whole Ness joke, and also about how he gave the waiter role bonus lines. In fact, he was so proud of that one line that he asked me to go over the top with it like I do in the videos as part of the scene, and I did it for one take, and it was weird, especially with everyone else in the scene taking the scene so seriously, and so we all decided to keep it a bit more toned down. He took off before I left for the day, and I said, "I'll see you again at the premiere." And, well, there's no premiere, so I guess that's the last time I'm ever gonna see him.
Oh, in case you were wondering, every item in this collection had to be approved by Mr. Scott Cawthon himself. Look, we're so tight, I even know how to pronounce his name right. Just like clockwork for this franchise, they turned the movie into a book. A book! Even though I announced my final episodes, I still couldn't get out of this thing fast enough, could I? Even though all the book releases were technically done for the franchise, after 22 solid books. And that's not even including the graphic novels and all the other spin-off materials. Good old Scotty Cawthon found a way to squeeze one more in on me before my foot was out the door. And you know what I did? I read the thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today to tell you that the FNAF movie book... That the FNAF movie book... Oh, I can't even say it. It physically makes me ill to acknowledge that something like this exists. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand here today to tell you that the book version of the FNAF movie, it tells us everything about where the film spin-off series is headed to next.
Some of them were stupid, like, oh, the little remnant of ketchup that's left over after you take a bite of it.
Remnant?
Remnants? Remnants?
Remnant?
He said the thing!
Redmint?
Redmonds! Remnants?